Fantasy season approaching. Here's a few tight ends I have as sleeper options going into the year. The first tight end, Colston Loveland of the Chicago Bears. Some bigger on Loveland than consensus is entering the season. I have him as a top 12 option at the tight end position. He had a monster college career. And the Chicago Bear team, they got him 10th overall in the NFL draft, even over Tyler Warren, who was touted the higher prospect coming out. So since day one in training camp, he's the number one tight end on the depth chart is Colston Loveland over Cole Kmet. And now with Ben Johnson at the helm, they're going to try to use him in ways like he obviously used Sam Laporta over there in Detroit, getting him in open space, getting easy receptions. And Loveland, one of the more highly touted prospects coming out at the tight end position over the last few seasons. Anytime you see a tight end go in the top 15 in the NFL draft, a team that's just not going to sit him on the bench and wait for him to develop. They think he's ready and he's going to be on the field. And obviously the Chicago Bear team, they got a lot of good weapons. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, they drafted Luther Burden as well, DeAndre Swift out of the backfield. But Colston Loveland, he's a big target. He can run the routes. And like I said, Ben Johnson bringing his offensive principles from Detroit as the coordinator there. Now over here to Chicago, it wouldn't be surprising to me if Loveland has a big season for fantasy owners and the spare team. Just the way Ben Johnson runs this offense and the ball gets spread out and the tight end, the big part of the offense. So right now he's going very late in fantasy drafts, 11th, 13th round range. And like I said, in my ranking, he's top 12 is Loveland and definitely a tight end that I think could be a sleeper option. And it wouldn't be surprising to me if he could crack that top 8 this season in points per game. Next tight ends, another rookie who I mentioned, Tyler Warren for the Indianapolis Colts. So many people thought Warren was going to be the first tight end off the board in the NFL draft this season, but obviously it was Loveland. And with the 14th pick, they went out there and got the Penn State tight end. So last season, a monster year it was for Tyler Warren. 104 catches, 1,233 yards, and 8 touchdowns in 16 games. So he's a freak tight end. He can run all the routes. He has that missing ability as well. And he's a matchup problem, is Tyler Warren. So going 14th overall and 6'6" tight end, he's a big target with this Indianapolis Colts team. Obviously needs, because this offense just can't run through Jonathan Taylor every week once again and expect to win ball games. I know they got good options, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, decent wide receivers over there. But Tyler Warren's a tight end. Like I said, he can work the middle of the field. He's a matchup problem. And to be honest, if Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback for this Colt team, I think it's great value for everyone on this roster. Where Anthony Richardson, he just hasn't connected with anyone in the receiving game or the tight end game over the last couple seasons. And he's been an injury-prone quarterback as well. So if Daniel Jones is the quarterback, Tyler Warren, I think, could go out there, have a very productive rookie season. And another tight end that they use high draft capital on, 14th overall, even though most people thought he was going to go over Loveland. And he's someone who's ranked in my top 12 as well at the tight end position is Warren, where you could get him anywhere from the 10th, 12th round range, and he definitely can help fantasy owners. Like I said, monster college career, top prospect tight end coming out. And this Colt team, they're going to try to find ways to get the tight end utilized, where over the last few seasons, the roster as a whole, the tight end position, one of the least targeted positions out of all the teams in the NFL is the Indianapolis Colts. I think Tyler Warren's going to change that. And like I said, day one, he's stepping right into the starting role, where there wasn't anyone over there worth a note that was going to beat him out in the tight end room for this Indianapolis Colts team. Next tight end, Darren Waller of the Miami Dolphins. Waller took a year off. He was pursuing a rap career. It didn't work out. And then the Giants traded his rights to the Miami Dolphins after the Dolphins traded Jonnu Smith away to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Darren Waller, we still know he's a big target, but who knows what he's got left in the tank is Waller. They're taking a season off and a lot of injuries over the last couple of years and down seasons before. Obviously, he retired last year, so he's entering a high-powered Mike McDaniel offense. We saw Jonnu Smith in this offense last year, especially second half of the year, have a big season. But Darren Waller, we don't know if he's going to go out there and be an impact player, but he's still a big 6'6", 245 target, especially in the red zone. And teams, obviously, they're going to have to roll coverage towards Tyreek Hill's way, towards Jalen Waddle, and Devon Achane's a monster threat catching the football out of the backfield as well. So Waller, he could be under the radar, and he's a tight end right now. He's going undrafted in most drafts, so you could wait to the last round and get him on your roster. So if you want to take, obviously, a flyer on him, I'm not saying you got to put him in the starting lineup day one, because he's not in football shape 100% and still not ready to practice. But we still have 3 weeks before the season, And I think Darren Waller still might have something left in the tank. I know his previous year, before he retired, he didn't do much, and injuries were a problem with him with the New York Giants. But that offense as a whole was a mess, and as long as Tua is healthy, this Dolphin offense should be a top 10 team in points per game. Next tight end, Zach Ertz of the Washington Commanders. So the veteran Ertz, he's still hanging on, and he's still very productive in his career as Zach Ertz, and he's arguably the number 2-3 option in this offense. Obviously, Terry McLaurin, number 1 option, even though he's holding out contract dispute in training camp. I think that'll be resolved before season starts. And also Deebo Samuel they traded for, but he's a player you can't count on over the last couple seasons with injuries, and he definitely lost his step, and they didn't give up much to get him on the roster. Last season, Hurts and Daniels, they had great rapport, and I always say this, a young quarterback's best friend and security blanket is a tight end position. And last year, 66 catches, 654 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns, and 2 two-point conversion on 91 targets. I'm not saying he's going to go out there, put up these type of numbers, but Zach Ertz, especially in PPR leagues, it seemed like weekly he was putting up double-digit fantasy points. And right now, you could get him in one of the last rounds of your fantasy drafts is Zach Ertz. He still could run routes. He's got a great IQ. Not the quickest of guys, and he never was, but he always finds ways to get open, and he's a crafty tight end. And like I said, last season he showed he still could go out there and perform at a high level at the tight end position and help fantasy owners. So right now, a veteran who possibly could be the number 2 target in his offense, even though Deebo's definitely going to take some targets away from Ertz. He's a sleeper option. And the final tight end I have as a sleeper is Brenton Strange of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Strange, last season he showed some flashes. Now Evan Ingram's gone in free agency. He signed with the Denver Broncos. And Strange last year, 40 catches, 411 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns on 53 targets. So this offense should be much improved. Where Cohen, he was the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and now Cohen, the head coach for Jacksonville. So this is going to be an offensive-oriented team, I believe, where when you bring in an offensive mind like Cohen to be the head coach, it's going to be focused on offense for the most part. And they got, obviously, Travis Hunter, traded up for him, high draft capital to move up in the draft for the number 2 overall pick. Also, as well, last season, Brian Thomas Jr., he was an impressive rookie. He broke out in his first season. So this offense is good. Strange, he's going to be the 3rd option in the passing game, I believe, for this Jacksonville Jaguar team. And the other thing as well, the running room isn't great over there. Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, Bashal Tootin. So there's an opportunity as well where they're not getting the running game going and they're trailing in games where their defense, I don't think is going to be good. It's Jacksonville, and they're going to have to throw the football 40, 50 times. And obviously that means some targets for Strange. So Strange, he's going undrafted in a lot of leagues, and he's someone easily you could take in the later rounds of your fantasy drafts. So that's a few tight ends I have as sleepers entering the 2025 fantasy football season.